Hey there viewers, welcome back to the Self-Made Auto channel. You might recognize this '09 Mitsubishi Outlander we have here in the background. It's one that was in the other day that we diagnosed for the faulty AC clutch. It was my recommendation to the lady that she bought the whole compressor simply because the clutch and bearing and compressor were noisy when you rotated it by hand. So you can see here we've got a brand new Mitsubishi compressor. So we're going to take and replace that. Also got a new receiver dryer here, so we'll swap that out while we got the system drained down. Get it charged back up and see if this thing blows cold air. Because like I say, if you remember from the original video, the clutch wouldn't engage at all. I did hook up the AC machine. We evacuated it. We got 1 pound, 1 ounce. We got 17 ounces of refrigerant out of it. I don't know what the total capacity is. I know these are quite low. So it must have, I think it's pretty close to full capacity, but you know, at any rate, it's what, 6 years old, so it would be completely fine if it was, you know, anywhere from 6 to 10 ounces down, somewhere in there. Wouldn't be surprised. All right, let's get busy and see what we run across. First thing first, we're going to go through and remove what's left of the little plastic clips. I want to get this plastic piece off, and then we'll pull out this little piece of the inner fender here on the passenger side. The receiver dryer is over like in this area, straight up in, and I think by removing this and possibly this gray piece here on the bumper cover might give us some access to it without tearing the whole bumper cover off. So that's what we're going to find out. Oops, that one's toast. Broke one. That'll happen. Things get crusty. Let's see if we can pull this gray piece off. I can see the bottom of the receiver dryer where the hoses go into it. So if we can get this off here, I think that'll give us some room, or a little more room anyways. I'm starting to think this front end's been apart before. There's a lot of different style clips. Even in this thing here, there's hardly any of them match. You never know. You're gonna whack a deer or something. Oh, guess that's off. I'm gonna tone that thing on. Now, as far as the bolt that we broke, it's not a big deal because it's right there in one of these little fender clips. I've got these things upstairs. We'll just replace it with a new one and just stick a new bolt in there. Should be good to go. All the plastic stuff's out of the way. We can see there's our receiver dryer. There's the bolt we have to get to right on the bottom with the two high pressure lines going into it. It's got a bracket way up top. I think we can take some plastic off up top and reach in there and undo it. I'll give you an idea of what we got there. bolt came out. I thought it was going to break. Didn't matter if it did. You know, it's like I said, it comes, you know, it's part of the receiver dryer, so if it broke, it'd really be no big deal. Got a little bracket on there. So it's just got this little bracket. Finished pulling some of this plastic apart here so we can get to the compressor. Well, we got it up in the air. Oops, how about that one? Okay, there we go. Reach up here to the 16 millimeter. Take the belt off. Just gonna, we're not replacing the belt, so I'm just gonna leave the belt hanging here. And we've got it off the compressor now. Yeah, you can definitely hear some bearing noise in there. I think we made the right choice, just going with the whole unit. Ended up finding a good deal on it, so it's a pretty difficult spot to record. I think they can unplug the AC there. I think, yeah, that bracket's built onto the compressor, so we're just going to take and buzz these lines off, suction line and the discharge line here. Get them popped off. The compressor looks like it's pretty straightforward to change, so that won't be a problem. These look like they take a 10 mil. Crack them loose. Got those loose. We'll spin them out of there. Be in the home stretch. Okay, got those bolts out. A little bit of suction on the system still. The O-ring must be holding that up a little. See if we can't get underneath that. So we have a little suction on that because we've evacuated the system, obviously. And it leaves it with a little bit of a vacuum on it. Okay, we've got both the lines unhooked. We've got our high pressure discharge line here that runs up to the condenser. And we've got the low pressure line here that runs from the expansion valve. We'll kind of just set these out of our way. Get something to plug this one up. It's got a little bit of oil dripping out of it there. Grab our 12 millimeter. Can't crack those babies loose. Spin them out. I think that's all holds this baby on. That last one. That's it. Ain't much to it really. Pretty small compressor compared to a lot of other ones we see. One thing I want to do, see if we can drain some of the oil out, kind of get an idea as to how much oil is in this compressor. Just so we, you know, kind of know for a reference, anyways. I think that's all we've been doing lately is AC stuff. We got a truck over in the other bay right now. That one's getting a compressor, and we did a evaporator yesterday and a compressor yesterday, and another compressor I did. This one has looks like 10 milliliters of oil in it, so that way we know how much to put back in the system, because this system's never been opened as far as I know. We always like to put back what we take out. Plus we'll look up and see if there's a spec. A lot of times, you know, there's a spec on you know, replacing the compressor, how much they want put in, and then there'll be a spec if you're changing the, you know, the accumulator, or receiver dryer, or, you know, condenser, evaporator, whatever component you're changing. Usually there's a spec as far as what they want put back in the system, but just before I chuck this compressor, I wanted to see what was in it in case, because sometimes I've seen that spec before too. They just tell you to, you know, put back in what you drain out. This compressor didn't come with anything in the box stating whether or not it had oil in it. So that I don't know. A lot of times you get some of the aftermarket ones and they're all stickered up and they tell you. Yeah, so this one has oil in it. I can see as I tip it. It's definitely got oil in it. And it has a stamp on it. So there's the tag. So you can read that and you can see on the tag once you know, PAG 56 or equivalent 70 cc's. So I'm gonna have to look to see if that is the total system capacity. It probably is, because that's a pretty fair amount of oil. Right, I'm not real good with the metric system here. Anyhow, we better look that up before we move on any further, because if we have to drain this or anything like that, you know, I want to find out. So what I did, according to Mitsubishi, evidently these are shipped with, contrary to what it says 70 cc's on the compressors. According to Mitsubishi, it comes with new compressor mount oil. It says 80 cubic centimeters or 2.7 fluid ounces, and it tells you to take 80 cubic centimeters, subtract it from X, which was the value of what we took out of here, and to drain that amount from the new compressor. So we took 10 out of here, 10 cubic centimeters or 10 milliliters, it's the same thing. And it tells us to drain, take that, subtract it from 80 and drain that value out of this. So it sounds that we have to drain 70 cubic centimeters from the new compressor, therefore giving it 10 left. So we're gonna do that. So we'll just take and we'll drain this out here until this hits the 80 mark. Oops. Thereabouts. Let's hold my finger over that one. Hopefully they're right. I don't know if we're going to get that much oil out of this thing or not. Rotate it around. Let's see. Of course, I've spilt probably a couple cc's here. Well, I'm going to continue draining until we hit this 80 mark, but I don't know, it kind of worries me a little bit that there may not be enough oil left, but this is their formula that we're going to use. If what's going to happen, I think if I end up draining this down where we don't get any more out of it, it would probably be the wise thing to do to make sure we at least have 10 in there. Well, we're at 75. I'm going to leave it at that because I did spill a little bit there. Boy, I don't know. It sure seems like I did a lot of draining. Kind of got me a little bit worried. But yeah, we're at 75 milliliters there. What worries me is the fact that these say 70 and computer Mitsubishi information says they have 80. Realistically, I'm probably, being that I've got it drained where it's just about dribbling like the old one was, I'm going to put 10 cc's back in it. It's not going to hurt anything, and I'll feel a whole lot better about it. So I went and emptied out our cylinder and cleaned that out. Sprayed it out with some brake clean. because there's no Self-Made Auto video complete without use of brake clean. And I've made the executive decision on my own to add 10 centimeters of oil. We're just going to use our PAG oil with dye. Measure off 10 or 15. We're going to put her in the discharge side of this pump. You'll feel a lot better about it. Whoa! Now we're going to make a mess. Well, video is complete without a big mess. That was 5. Try to do this a little more carefully here. That there. About 4 more. Alright, what's that leave us with? Got just a smidge more to go here. Get this dye on you, it's a mess. I probably should have just injected it with the machine, but this is the method I chose. And that leaves us 5 centimeters left, and we poured in 15. Dumped in 10. It's a lot of math. Pretty high tech. Okay, now that's done. Let's get this thing in before I make a bigger mess. I went ahead and changed out the O-rings. I had just 2 O-rings there on them 2 lines. The suction and the discharge line there. So I popped them on before we got this up in there, and then we couldn't see them, or fiddling around making dust. So we're gonna get this stuck on, get our lines hooked up, finish changing that receiver dryer. Get this put back in. Make sure those are torqued to specs. And they are. So we'll hook our lines up. Just going to put a little bit of PAG oil there on our new O-rings. Get that in. We'll do the same thing there on our discharge side. I don't know if you can see it or not. I got the camera kind of stuffed up in there. Just gonna wipe a little bit of oil on it. Get it lined up, get them down in. Get the bolts back in and get these tightened up. It's time to put on the belt. Reach back up in here. Okay. Our belt's on, our hoses are hooked up, connections made. Alright, well, we got the compressor all in. It's been a crazy busy day. You know, as usual, we got a ton of stuff going on, and I've got another actually YouTube viewer here that dropped off his Hemi Dodge Ram to have all the broken bolts removed out of the head. So we got that job done, and just waiting on the flanges to show up for that, and that went pretty well. You know, the old welder trick there we've showed in one of our videos, how to get them broken bolts out. So I've been working on that, and of course got, I don't know, just tons of stuff happening. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. I hope, I'd kind of like to know your guys' thoughts when it comes to putting on compressors. Usually when I do, you know, YouTube video, I try to kind of be by the book, you know, as far as methods, you know, if I'm trying to teach somebody or show something, and, you know, they all seem to have kind of a different process. But in general, it's always been my habit, if I take off a compressor, I drain the oil out of it, and I make sure the compressor I put back on has that amount of oil back in it. And that's just been my habit, and I haven't had any of them ever come back and haunt me from being, you know, catastrophic failure, either from being overcharged or undercharged on oil. And the same thing when we're using our AC machine. You know, when I evacuate a system, of course, it accumulates a certain amount of oil, and it drains the oil out of the lines. And if we, you know, sucked out an ounce of oil, we put an ounce of oil back in, and just kind of keep the system, you know, where it should be, because there's really, in my opinion, as far as I know, there's really no way to tell how much oil is in a system, because it's all throughout the whole thing. And so we just try to kind of just put back in what we take out, you know, within reason. Obviously we don't, you know, take it right down to the, you know, the exact cc or milliliter, but try to be as close as possible. And I guess with that being said, we'll just take and lower the car down now. We'll finish swapping out that receiver dryer and get a vacuum pulled on this thing and get a charge in it and make sure this thing blows cold and ship it down the road. I'm pretty sure Sheba has the good job in the shop. So what I'm going to try to do is get these clips out on this grill, and we'll pop this out and see if we can't unbolt the receiver there. Slide it up out of there. Got them out. I think this grill just, it looks like it has just some push nails in there. Let's see if we can't unclip it, hopefully. Clip. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to remove the entire bumper cover to do this job, but I don't really think it's necessary. I'd have to look to be sure, I guess. There. So if you take the grill off, just pull the top pins out of it, and then there's a couple locators, and then there's just the push retainers there that go on the bottom. So we're going to take our 8mm. We'll just loosen up the clamp here. I don't know if we got to take it off all the way, or I doubt it, but yeah, it must be. There's the clamp. There's our receiver dryer. Go grab some new O-rings, pop the O-rings on there. We'll slide the new one right on. Okay, we've got those O-rings swapped around. You got to pay attention on these. There is a inlet and an outlet, so make sure that you know which way it was. I probably should have said that before I took it apart. But these are kind of easy to remember. The inlet is the actual inner line on this one, so it makes it kind of easy to remember. Kind of get that lined up. Wiggle it down over our O-rings. I'm going to take and just get the clamp started on it. And before I tighten the clamp down all the way, I'm going to go underneath and we're going to reattach our little bracket here that holds it together. And then we'll come up and clamp down our clamp all the way. So I put the bracket back on. It's kind of tight to record up in here, but you guys seen it when I took it apart, so you kind of understand what that is. I've got that on there. I'm just going to take and snug that up a little bit. And then I think we're ready to, before we put any of this back together, we're going to take and pull a vacuum on it. I'm going to put a charge on it. Make sure it's good. Now that we've got our lines hooked up, we'll just finish tightening this up. We'll get a vacuum pulled on this thing. Running out of time. So now that everything is hooked, we're going to pull a vacuum on it. And I'll see you guys in 30 minutes. Or about a second. No sense in leaving that off, because we can, when we go through a leak checker, we're going to check it from the bottom anyhow. I don't suspect we're going to have any leaks, personally, but you never know. Okay, so we've got the vacuum. We've pulled the vacuum on it. We did. I let the machine just sit for 10 minutes. It runs through a little self-leak test. Total capacity is 18 ounces. I'm not going to inject any oil because we've already put, you know, our 10 cc's of PAG oil dye in the compressor. So we're just going to charge the system up at 18 ounces. I'm going to charge it through the high side and see if it blows cold air. Here we go. Take our thermometer. Let's see, it's about 70 something in here right now, about 78. Let's see what our these windows up here. Let's see, we got the AC on, we got the recirc on. Blaster up on high. Let's see what our center vent temperature does. And you can see she's creeping down there pretty quick. Feels pretty cold coming out of the dash. And we can see we're settling now probably at 38, 39 degree mark, which I think is plenty cold in my opinion. Just a smidge above freezing. We'll probably watch it as the compressor cycles there. You know, you might see that pop up to 40 and then down to 38, you know, somewhere's in there, but that's pretty good in my opinion. So all I think we got left of this time is check it out with the old gas sniffer. We're gonna check all the joints we made. Got to throw this thing back together. Getting a little bit behind today, and it's almost quitting time. And got a couple more things to finish. So let's see what we've got. Make sure it's good, and we'll put it back together. Well, first things first, we'll go check in on our receiver dryer here. That was a couple O-ring connections there. Yep, you can see them new O-rings definitely held up well. Last thing I want to do is I'm going to check up around our suction line and our discharge line there. Get my tester up in here. Sniff around these. Go up here by the compressor seal the best we can up on the front of the compressor. which being a Mitsubishi compressor, I'm not too awful worried about it, but it's always good to kind of have a little sniff around. I think we'll be all set. All right, viewers, you can see that job was a complete success, or at least that's what I would call it. But needless to say, I have got to get busy. So I'm not going to bother showing just putting the plastic pieces back on, because frankly that's all it is. We're going to put that gray piece up here on the front fascia, put the clips back in that, put the plastic piece back underneath. I got one of those new J nuts to stick on there for the bolt that we snapped off, which is no big deal, and it's missing a couple plastic fasteners, but in any case I've got a lot of those, big assortment of them. So we're going to put that together the best that we can and ship this thing down the road. I think the lady will be pretty happy. It's blowing nice and cold now, and we got that brand new Mitsubishi air compressor on there, so that should last hopefully another 6 years, as long as this one did, before that blows up. And I think the job went pretty well. Anyhow, leave your questions, comments, or concerns below, and we'll address them as soon as we can. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the Google notification system right now, so currently I'm not getting any notifications, but hopefully if you're watching this a month later, all that's resolved. But anyhow, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible, and we'll address any kind of questions, or maybe we can have some good conversation about this. Check us out on Facebook if you haven't already. Connect with us socially there. You can find us on Google Plus too, and connect with us socially there if you like. And if you haven't subscribed, I just ask that you do, if you want to stay up to date with our latest publications that we put out weekly in most cases, or as time allows. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.